You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there. I'm Kelly Barner, and today is Friday, September 8th, 2023.
6.
This week's Procurement 6 is brought to you by Mastermind Live 2023. My team is already hard at work prepping sessions and speakers, challenging each of them to bring their best ideas to the table as they help us all wrap the year. Mastermind Live is our longest running virtual event, and starting to work on it serves as a reminder to me that as the days in 2023 tick down, the opportunities and the potential of 2024 get closer and closer. I hope you will join us on November 7th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to register using the link in today's show notes.
5.
This week's Art of Procurement podcast features Chris Mealy, managing partner at Software Pricing Partners. He returned to the podcast to share new thoughts and ideas about how procurement can imagine the art of the possible by rethinking how we use RFPs. In this excerpt, Chris and Phil both look at a specific example of common RFP language. You may just be surprised by the differences in their interpretation. Let's listen.
I can't tell you how many times I see these in RFPs and our customers share them with me, but it seems as though this little quip makes it into like every RFP on the planet. It's almost like somebody's copying from the same document. But after they go through all their stuff, there's this little carve out that says the company name, company XYZ, reserves the right to award to the bidder that presents the best value to XYZ company as determined solely by XYZ company in its absolute unbelievable blah, blah, blah discretion. In other words, it doesn't really matter what you do, Phil. We decide on our own rules, and those rules can change on a whim. Like, for example, if I have a personal relationship with one of the vendors responding, then I can just decide based on that, right? So if you remember, we talked, hey, we're going to create a level playing field, right? So what do you think that phrase gives to the seller in their mind right when they first read it?
It's an interesting one because I've never thought about that. You know, I've obviously used that phrase or variants of that phrase, and it's kind of put in there as just the catch-all, don't sue me if you don't get what you want.
Yeah, leave that for legal is what I would recommend. It's our legal words creeping into our business language.
To be fair, it is a challenge to read standard language with fresh eyes. But Chris makes a good point. The procurement needs to regularly review all of the language in an RFP and also stop to think about how it may read to our suppliers, both incumbent and prospective. To listen to the full episode, go to artofprocurement.com/podcast or search for Art of Procurement and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
4.
In this week's episode of The Sourcing Hero, Kevin Frechette from Fairmarket joined me to share his perspective on generative AI. ChatGPT has taken the world by storm, and everyone's imagination is on fire. Now, not to be a party pooper, but procurement has seen the world respond to new technology like this before. Does anybody remember blockchain? In this week's episode, Kevin and I talk about whether generative AI will keep its prominent position in the tech landscape or fade back into the background, as well as some of the information security concerns that may affect our planned adoption trajectory. To hear our conversation and explore other episodes of the show, you can use the link in today's show notes or find The Sourcing Hero wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
In this week's Style P, I took a long, hard look at U.S. Steel, a storied company that is being put to the test by a number of high-pressure factors. They've struggled to maintain profitability as costs have risen, and now they are receiving buyout bids, both solicited and unsolicited, to take them over. One close competitor, Cleveland Cliffs, already had an offer rejected for being, quote, unreasonable. Then enter the United Steelworkers Union. Their interpretation of their current contract with U.S. Steel is that they can veto any potential buyers they don't want, and they are planning to use that right. U.S. Steel feels differently, which puts the company and union membership in really tough places. Check out the full episode and accompanying long-form article on the Art of Procurement website, or subscribe to the Dial P for Procurement podcast on all major podcast platforms.
2.
In other news, both Target and Crate & Barrel, two of my favorite stores, are investing in their supply chains in similar ways by moving inventory closer to customers so they can be more responsive about the movement of goods. Both companies are investing in smaller, more localized distribution centers rather than pursuing a larger national distribution strategy. In addition, Target will be filling an increased percentage of e-commerce orders through their stores. In order to make all of this work, however, they're going to have to do two things. One, they will have to improve the accuracy and reliability of their forecast. And that means, you got it, good data and better analytics. Throw in AI and machine learning for good measure. Now, the second thing they're going to have to do absolutely involves procurement. As they take this new localized approach, they will probably need to renegotiate their LTL and parcel contracts. Always a fun challenge. Learn more about what both retailers are up to by reading the articles linked in today's show notes.
1.
Before I let you go, we have an upcoming event that you won't want to miss. On September 28th, the team from KPMG will be with us live to share the results of recent research that aims to capture insights on procurement's current challenges, goals, and priorities, as well as the path forward from here. Be sure to register and join us live so you can be part of the conversation by posing your own questions to the speakers. I hope you will join us. You can find the registration link in today's show notes or at artofprocurement.com/calendar.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.